Most people think one storm flattened Henryville, Indiana. One tornado. One hit. Wrong. This town got slammed twice in less than 20 minutes, and almost nobody talks about it. That's the part that gets me. March 2nd, 2012. A small farming town in southern Indiana. By the end of that afternoon, a school lay in pieces, a bus sat wedged into a restaurant, and 11 people were gone. But the reason the damage spread so far and hit so hard? It comes down to speed, timing, and one storm that behaved like nothing a small town should ever face. So how does a tornado rip a road out of the ground? Stay with me. Let's start with the road, because this is the detail that stops people cold. State Route 135 runs through the countryside near Henryville. Around 3 in the afternoon, the storm crossed it and did something that sounds made up. It peeled slabs of pavement straight off the ground. Chunks weighing an estimated 10,000 pounds. 5 tons of solid road lifted and hurled into a nearby field like scraps of paper. Think about that for a second. Not worn down slowly. Not scraped. Ripped up whole and thrown. A storm chaser named Simon Brewer surveyed the highway shortly after the tornado passed and documented where the asphalt had been torn apart. He watched it happen, feet away. Why did this one behave so differently? Speed. This tornado moved fast, really fast. It carved a path 46.6 miles long in 49 minutes, roughly the pace of a car cruising down the interstate. Most tornadoes crawl. You can sometimes outrun them in a vehicle. Not this one. A fast-moving twister covers more ground, hits more towns, and gives people almost no time to react. And that speed is exactly what turned a single storm into a regional disaster. The winds at its core reached 175 miles per hour. Low-end EF4, just short of the strongest rating on the entire scale. And here's what makes March 2nd even worse. That day was part of a brutal 2-day outbreak that spawned 81 tornadoes across 11 states. 81. The whole region was under fire. But the storm that reached Henryville became the monster of the bunch, and the National Weather Service in Louisville knew it. At 3:10 in the afternoon, they did something rare. They issued a tornado emergency, calling out Henryville by name. Not a watch. Not a regular warning. An emergency. The kind of message that means take cover right now or you may not survive. So picture the timeline. The storm first touched down at 2:50 p.m. as a weak, sloppy thing near Fredericksburg, Indiana. Barely a threat. 10 minutes later, it exploded in strength and started tearing at the highway. By 3:15, it crossed Interstate 65 and aimed straight at the heart of town. 25 minutes. That's how long it took to go from a baby storm near Fredericksburg to striking the heart of Henryville. 25 minutes. And sitting directly in its path? A school complex packed with hundreds of children. Principal Troy Albert made a call that changed everything. With the storm bearing down, he decided to dismiss students 20 minutes early. Just 20 minutes. Dismissing most kids early and getting the remaining staff and students into interior offices and bathrooms right before those school walls came down. 20 minutes earlier, and the timing lines up perfectly with disaster. 20 minutes later, and it's unthinkable. He read the danger and he moved. That single decision is the difference between a damaged building and a body count nobody wants to imagine. But the story that still gives me chills belongs to a bus driver. Angel Perry was behind the wheel with 11 students on board, driving them home like any other afternoon. Then she saw it. The tornado. Coming. Most people's instinct is to keep going, get away, put distance between you and the storm. Not her. She turned the bus around. She raced it back toward the school. She got all 11 kids off and inside the building. 2 minutes later, the storm picked up that empty bus and threw it several hundred yards into the side of a nearby restaurant where people were sheltering inside. 2 minutes. 11 children who were on that bus. Do the math on that. Then the full force arrived. 3:15 p.m., the EF4 slammed the school complex head-on. It destroyed the cafeteria. It tore the entire second floor off the elementary school. Not damaged. Removed. Inside, a middle school teacher named Kyle Lewis had taken cover in an office. He described the sound of the tornado hitting the building as like a train coming through the building. Sit with that image. A child, crouched on a tile floor, listening to a freight train that isn't a train, tearing his school apart above his head. That's what 175-mile-per-hour wind sounds like from the inside. Now here's the part almost everyone gets wrong. You've probably seen the video. The school gym wall, buckling and collapsing, caught on camera. It gets shared constantly as proof of the EF4's power. Except that's not quite the full story. While a second EF1 tornado did strike Henryville shortly after, the viral surveillance footage of the school gym collapsing actually captured the violent power of that first EF4 tornado as it hit. Yes, a second one. 15 minutes after the first storm passed, a second tornado followed nearly the same path and struck Henryville again. This one rated EF1, with winds around 110 miles per hour. Weaker, sure, but it didn't matter. The town was already shattered. Buildings were already cracked open, roofs already gone, walls already leaning. The second storm just had to nudge what the first one broke. 15 minutes apart. Same track. Same town. How is that even possible? This is the answer to why the damage spread so wide and cut so deep. Not one storm. Two. Back to back. Hitting a place that never got a chance to breathe between them. The main tornado finally died out at 3:39 p.m. near Bedford, Kentucky. 49 miles from where it started. A destruction path that stretched up to 700 yards wide at its worst, wider than 6 football fields laid end to end. When the counting was done, the numbers landed hard. 11 people killed by that primary EF4. Dozens injured. $58 million in damage. A town school, homes, and businesses reduced to splinters in under an hour. And I need to clear something up, because it matters. You'll see reports claiming 14 or 15 people died in the Henryville tornado. That's not right. The official death toll for this specific EF4 is 11. The other lives lost that day came from different tornadoes in that same monstrous outbreak. It's an easy mistake, and it's the kind of thing that gets repeated until people treat it as fact. But precision matters when you're talking about people who died. 11 from this storm, not more. So why was the EF4 damage so widespread? Now you have the full picture. A tornado that moved at highway speed, so it covered enormous ground before anyone could escape. A path 46.6 miles long and 800 yards wide. Winds strong enough to peel 5-ton road slabs off the earth and throw them into fields. And a second storm that retraced the first one's steps just 15 minutes later, finishing off everything left standing. Speed plus width plus a double strike. That's the recipe. That's why one small Indiana town became the face of an entire outbreak. Henryville rebuilt. The school went back up. Life pushed forward, the way it does. But the ground there still remembers. On February 10th, 2024, a brief EF1 tornado touched down in Henryville again, the first confirmed twister in the whole state that year. And on June 21st, 2026, just weeks ago, another tornado warning went out for the town, with a brief, weak tornado confirmed near it, snapping trees and scattering debris. The same little town, again and again. Here's what stays with me most. Not the ruined buildings, not even the storm itself. It's the 20 minutes. A principal who dismissed his students 20 minutes early. A bus driver who bought her kids 2 minutes with a U-turn nobody would have blamed her for skipping. Those weren't heroes with capes. They were ordinary people who made ordinary-looking decisions in the space of a few breaths. And because they did, the dozens of children and staff left inside walked away from a school that lost its entire second floor. The storm threw 10,000 pounds of road like confetti. It couldn't touch those kids. That's the whole story right there.